You're on record this afternoon for the third review of pregnancy planning hearing and a hearing on a termination petition that was filed against both parents. I have the names of our participants, please.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Nicole Underwood, lawyer, guardian ad litem for the minor child.
Good afternoon, Charles Noe, appearing on behalf of and with mother.
Mother, Jackie Lomas.
Michael McFarland, representing father.
Dakota Harmon Duckworth,
Thank you.
representing father.
You are the father, yes, Mr. Duckworth?
Yeah, that's what I said, representing father, sorry.
You're good, you're the mother.
No, yeah.
Okay, I think we've got it. All right, so counselors, what I have in my notes is that we're actually continued from August 18th and from the 22nd, made some allowances for Dad to recover from some medical procedures, and then we're looking for his testimony potentially in closings. But if there's anything else that you'd like addressed, obviously we've got 2 hours for this afternoon, and I look forward to developing the record fully as I make my decision on what's been docketed for today. So anything by way of comment or introduction? Let's begin with Ms. Thomas.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yes, at the last scheduled hearing, we were informed that Dad was in the hospital with some medical concerns. At that point in time, we were unsure whether he would need surgery or not. And so collectively, we determined it was best simply to adjourn that hearing. Believe that everything is okay now based on the report that we received from Ms. Kopis. She has provided us with an updated court report or memo. And other than getting that in the record, I believe that the department had presented its case back in August, and the only thing further would be to present closings. And I agree that I believe we had continued to allow Dad to testify.
Okay, any comments to add to that, Ms. Underwood?
That's also my recollection, Judge. Thank you.
Mr. McFarland, any comments?
That is my recollection. My inquiry would be, is the worker going to testify as far as any verbally testify as far as anything that's happened in the interim or not? That's my only inquiry.
You're welcome to have her testify if you wish, or if you would like. Ms. Thomas, I'm sure we'd be happy to call her. Is that what you're asking?
That's my inquiry is the attorney for the agency intending on calling that. I know sometimes lapse in your
Been a while.
Ms. Thomas,
Your Honor,
okay.
Sorry about that, Your Honor. But yes, I would intend to call Ms. Kopis just to briefly lay the foundation for her report. There isn't a ton of information that she's drafted independent of the reports that are attached.
Any comments, Mr. No.
None.
Ms. Underwood, any comments?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Do you have any updates to your report since the last time we were here? I think it's been over 30 days.
No, Your Honor, nothing unusual or out of the ordinary. The minor continues to be thriving in his current placement. He is meeting his milestones and just growing quickly as he's, between that 1 and 2 year old age. So he's learning new things every day and continuing to just really do very well in his placement. It continues to be the least restrictive and in his best interest. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so Ms. Thomas, let's go to you first for witness testimony.
Thank you, Your Honor. If Ms. Kopis can be sworn in, please.
Ms. Kopis, come on for a witness stand.
You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Thank you. All right, Ms. Thomas.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Kopis, you've provided an updated court memo with some reports. Are there any updates or modifications that you're aware of that need to be made to the documents in that packet?
No.
Okay. And generally speaking, from your memo, it looks like you've been able to provide a brief update on how the child is doing. And again, just an update since we were last year in court regarding the parents' compliance benefit from their services. At this time, have there been any developments since we were here last that would make the department reconsider the goal of adoption for this child?
No.
And has there been any progress in the benefit from the case service plan for either parent?
No.
In the court packet, there are notes from LNL Parent Aid Services regarding how parenting time has gone. Have you had a chance to review those?
I have, and I did have an opportunity last week to observe a parenting time in person myself.
Okay. And do you have any concerns about how parenting time is going for the child and Ms. Lomas?
I do. I do have concerns. It appears that we have some similar issues as previous that we've discussed and we've worked through. Even as of today, there's still a concern of mom understanding his developmental stages and where exactly he is in those developmental stages and his understanding of the world around him.
And as it relates to dad, it looks like there were at least 2 indications of law enforcement involvement based on disputes with neighbors. Can you provide a brief summary of what you've included?
Ms. Lomas has informed me appropriately when law enforcement has been contacted to the home. I do believe in recently, not since the last reporting period, but overall in the last probably 90 days, there's been at least 3 altercations between Mr. Harmon Duckworth and neighbors on each side. It's not the same neighbor to their residence. It does appear that law enforcement has been called to the home before. I could not obtain police reports or call cards for those. So the police report that's attached is the first time that a police report has been attached because they are seeking charges as of that report against Mr. Harmon Duckworth and the other neighbor involved in the incident.
And to the best of your knowledge, has Mr. Harmon Duckworth, has there been any like warrants issued for his arrest or anything like that?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay. And are there any updates that you would like to highlight from the parenting time logs or from your memo for the court's attention today?
Mr. Harmon Duckworth did email me in the last 48 hours some parenting education notes that he had completed based on videos that he had observed. Those are not attached to my report. I did ask him if he followed up with the referral from CPC of Lenawee, which was given to him in July. He did indicate that he had not had that number. I was not able to provide that number with him prior to this hearing because I was out of the office significantly yesterday.
And to the best of your knowledge, are there any updates regarding his engagement with any other services like CMH, individual therapy, other parenting education services?
I have played a bit of phone tag with CMH, his case manager over there. It does appear that he is active in services. I do not have the details as to where exactly he is in his case service plan and his treatment. But it does appear that he is participating in the last 30 days or so.
Okay. All right. Well, with that, I have no further questions of Ms. Kopis, Your Honor, and would ask the court to accept the updated packet.
No objection.
No objection.
No objection.
Thank you. It is received. Cross-examination, Mr. McFarland.
You were not personally present for any of these alleged altercations, correct?
Correct.
You would agree that even if my client goes to court, he's still presumed innocent until proven guilty. You agree with that, correct?
Yes.
So you just bring us to our attention that the police were called, but many reasons and many that police are called, correct?
No, that was not the sole purpose. I think this police report really shows a pattern of behavior for Mr. Harmon Duckworth. Over the course of this case, he's had multiple altercations, whether it's in the home with Ms. Lomas's mother, whether it's with the neighbors, whether it's confrontation with the department. I think it overall shows his inability to take accountability for his actions and how he responds to certain situations.
What videos did my client present to you? Were these behavioral videos about child behavior?
I apologize. I only briefly looked over them. I do not know what courses, the topics of those courses were.
Okay, I'll be calling them. I have nothing further.
Mr. Noe?
Thank you. Ms. Copus, your report covers just a very small period of just over a month, is that right?
Yes,
Okay. And your recommendations are based on your observations from previous report periods, but also from this report period as well. Is that also correct?
yes, and the documentation from LNL, yes.
During this review period, Ms. Lomas completed her toddler pack at CPC, correct?
Yes,
Did she continue to attend her parenting sessions with Ms. Edwards during that period? Is that also correct?
yes,
Ms. Edwards has had some, it's not anybody's business but her, so I'll be very kind of vague about it, but Ms. Edwards has had some health issues, correct?
yes,
All right, so she's no longer able to do the parenting supervision, is that correct?
that is my understanding at this time, yes.
Ms. Lomas, when she attended these parenting visits, these parent time visits, was Silas at all of those?
I'm sorry?
Was Silas at all the parenting time visits?
Yes, yes,
He was able to be there?
yes,
And you would also agree that in your notes, you state that Jack continues to participate in mental health services with ACPC during this reporting period. Is that also correct?
that is my understanding, yes.
The only concerns you raised in this review period were about her not seeing clarification or being confused and being defensive, correct?
Those are ongoing issues. Those are not the only things noted in or since the onset of this case. Everything builds up to this. The issues that still remain that I previously testified to, those are still of concern. This is just what happened since our last hearing.
Okay. So the ones that happened during this reporting period, those are based on your brief interactions you had with my client during this very short reporting period, correct?
It's based off of the 2 visitations I watched, totaling 4 hours in the last 2 weeks.
In this review period, you mentioned an incident that happened at the house that involved Dakota and the neighbor, correct?
Yes,
And I believe you testified earlier that Jackie was appropriate in reporting those to you, correct?
she reported them to me timely.
Okay.
She was not accurate in what she was reporting to me.
Okay. During this review period, Jackie, her medical health has been good. For example, she hasn't had any seizures or anything during this report period, correct?
Correct.
Did she take her medication as prescribed?
She reports that she is. Medication for that specific disorder has never been a concern.
Okay. And she showed up to all of her visits that time, is that also correct?
Yes.
In terms of this case service plan, would you agree that Jackie is compliant right now?
Jackie is compliant in the sense that she has completed services. She has not demonstrated that she has benefited services despite accommodations and repeatment of services.
Okay. You would agree that conclusion of her benefiting from it, though, could be interpreted to be subjective, though, correct?
I think that's based on the findings from LNL and from our observations for the department to make.
Okay. Was there a time when you contacted Jackie last week about some sort of visit to the park?
Yes.
Okay. Was that visit scheduled in advance?
I informed her that it would be in advance. I asked her thoughts and feelings about how she would feel taking him into a community setting. During the course of this case, Jackie's parenting time, for safety reasons, has been very controlled. It's been in a room, singular, with just her and the child and someone observing. And so I did want to see her in the public, in the community, engaging with him and what that would look like. So we had a conversation about that. I asked her to provide me with the list of things that she would be bringing to the park and whether those would be appropriate or not. And we discussed those, and I indicated that the foster parent would not be bringing things for him. She agreed to that visit, sent me that list, and then she informed me late yesterday that she no longer felt comfortable doing that and that she wanted her visitation to remain the same.
Are you aware that you called Jackie during her therapy session with Miss Olmsted?
I was not aware of it prior to. She told me as she was in there, and I did indicate to her that she did not have to answer for me, and if she could please call me after.
Okay. Was your intention of wanting to meet with her in a park like that? So you could see how she parented, kind of, out in the wild, so to speak, out in public?
I wanted to see where her parenting skills were like outside of a controlled setting. I also wanted to provide more stimuli for both her and the baby outside of just visiting in a room.
Wouldn't it be important to see how Jackie does with that parenting time before making analysis of whether it's appropriate to terminate her parental rights?
My concern is that after a year of services that she is not comfortable doing that. And truthfully, we have not reached a point where that is 100% safe. There were safety measures in place that someone was going to come with me. I had concerns that this would not go well, but I wanted to see if Jackie could actually parent in the community and see how she would do.
Did you provide Jackie with any sort of written instructions about this change of parenting time?
I did not.
Would you agree that providing her written notice of that would qualify as an ADA accommodation?
I would have, and it would be. However, when I talked to her on the phone, she agreed and said that she fully understood. So I took it at that time that she did not need anything further. I asked her if she needed anything further from me, and she said that she understood and that she had it.
Would you agree that it is somewhat unusual, though, to modify a parenting time visit right before we're set for trial for a termination case like this?
No, I think we continue with parenting time until we have termination. And in the event that the department did not receive termination, we would continue to move visitation forward. So I do think it's a natural part of the development of a case.
Did she tell you why she wasn't comfortable doing the parenting time at the park?
She did not. Well, initially she told me she felt uncomfortable, and then she told me it was on the advice of her attorney.
Do you often attend or supervise Jackie's parenting time visits?
I periodically step in and observe her and Miss Edwards. I do not watch her visit her parenting time since Orchards ended in approximately the end of February.
Okay. I don't want to go back that far. That's two, I think, reporting periods ago. Did you do it? But you did observe, I think, 2 times from this most recent reporting period. Is that correct?
Today, and then one other time, and then there's only been 3 visits that Ms. Edwards has not been able to cover. And so I have the notes from when a coworker covered. I saw her visitation today, and then I saw the visitation last Tuesday.
Okay. Do you during those visits did you ever step in to soothe or redirect Silas or anything?
Silas naturally wants to wander, so he has come to me. So I did step in when he came to me. The initial incident on Tuesday, Mother was changing his diaper. I didn't actually have to say anything. I stepped over to Mother, looked at the diaper, that caught her attention, and then she looked over and realized that the diaper, that he had essentially pooped himself and that he was sitting on her lap with poop on it.
Okay. Would you agree, though, that when you step in like that, you do take away Jackie's opportunity to demonstrate that she can meet her son's needs?
No,
But you would agree that your role during these parenting time visits is to observe and report, not necessarily to replace or step in place of the parent, correct?
my job is to observe and report. My job is to also ensure that the youth is safe. And in Jackie's case, my job is also to provide instruction, suggestion, and modeling of how to handle appropriate situations.
You mentioned earlier that you believe that Jackie is not benefiting from services. Would you agree with that statement?
Yes,
You know, despite Jackie completing classes and attending visits, you've also written that she, and I quote, fails to understand in your report. Is that also correct?
yes.
Have you arranged for a cognitive evaluation to determine what exactly her learning needs are?
We had her psychological done. We have not reached any other assessments.
So without having some sort of learning needs assessment done, how can you know whether she needed different teaching methods rather than being labeled as failing?
Because Ms. Lomas, the entirety of this case, has repeatedly told us that she does understand. Accommodations have been made throughout all of the services, and at this point, she's had 3 parenting programs, and accommodations have been made in all 3 of those in a variety of ways, and each time she has always indicated that she understands. Ms. Lomas does become defensive, that she understands and will snap back at you to not tell her what to do.
So when you tell the court that she doesn't understand, I think it's another quote from the report, that conclusion is not based on some sort of professional psychological testing, though, correct?
That's based off of the documentation and my observations.
Your ultimate recommendation today is termination of Jackie's parental rights, correct?
Yes,
But that recommendation is based on your view for progress without perhaps her getting full ADA accommodations, correct?
no, I do believe she has had full ADA accommodation. This entire case service plan has been tailored to the needs that we have observed and the needs that Jackie has allowed us to serve her with.
No further questions?
Hey, Ms. Underwood, any questions?
No, I have no questions. Thank you.
Any redirect, Ms. Thomas?
I have just a brief question, Ms. Kopis. There was a question, I believe, Mr. Noe asked regarding mom being appropriate in reporting interactions with law enforcement, and to which your response was she was timely but not necessarily accurate. Can you help us understand what you meant by that?
In the police report, I apologize. When Ms. Lomas initially informed me, she informed me that there was an altercation between father and the neighbor. She had indicated that the neighbor was the aggressor, and that Dakota did not have any responsibility in that. Similarly to the incident with the other next door neighbor and the issue with the recycling bins, that Dakota was not at fault and that it was the neighbor antagonizing it. Upon reviewing the police report, it does appear that there was already altercation, a verbal altercation going on in the home loud enough for the neighbors to hear, which apparently had been a pattern for that neighbor and he had grown frustrated. The witness in that police report does indicate that Mr. Harmon Duckworth threw the first punch, and that they both ended up in a tussle onto the ground. As of today, Ms. Lomas still indicated to me that Dakota was the victim and that he did not strike first.
Thank you. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. McFarland?
You would agree that this is all second or third hand information that you're telling us about my client, correct?
It's based on the police report, yes.
And the criminal court could prove completely opposite of what might be reported, correct?
Your Honor, I'm going to object to this line of questioning. I think it's argumentative. This court is also very capable of weighing the evidence before it, again, or separately, or in addition to, sorry, rules of evidence do not apply at this hearing.
Oh, I agree they don't apply. But I think, let me rephrase the question. It appears as though you have reached the conclusion without it proceeding to criminal court. Would that be accurate?
Based on previous behavior combined with this report, yes.
Nothing further.
Any other questions, Mr. Noe?
Yes, briefly, just based on the question from the department. The incident you mentioned was on August 29th, is that correct? Does that sound right?
I believe so,
All right, fair enough. You were not present for that incident, correct?
correct.
And your only knowledge of that comes from the Asian Police Department report, is that correct?
And what Ms. Lomas told me, yes.
In terms of what you know, everything you know that is either from Ms. Lomas or from the report, is that right?
Correct,
You didn't interview witnesses or police officers, right?
correct.
So it's possible that what Ms. Lomas told you is very likely what she thought happened in the case, and not sure that being deceitful or anything. Is that also possible?
I believe that Ms. Lomas believes it, but that's part of the issue is that she believes Mr. Harmon Duckworth to a fault, even when he's in the wrong. She used to, on the onset of this case, justify his behavior and make excuses, and now she defends his behavior and acts as though that he acted accordingly and appropriately. So again, it's not necessarily that law enforcement was out there, it's a pattern of behavior that seems to be repeated with both parents.
Okay. But there's no pattern of behavior of any sort of violence that my client does, correct?
No,
Okay, all right. No further questions.
All right, Ms. Underwood, any questions?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Mayor Tracy.
thank you.
Okay, any other witnesses today, Ms. Thomas?
No, Your Honor, I believe Mr. McFarland was going to call his witness as part of the continuation. So I have no one further. Thank you.
I will be.
Yes, Mr. Noe, did you have any further witness presentation today?
No.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. McFarland.
Thank you. I call Father to stand. Watch your head, please.
Hurt the last time.
Raise your right hand.
This one?
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Want to lay some ground rules. And because we are on YouTube, we can't use your child's name. Do you understand that?
Yes,
Okay,
sorry.
that's not a problem. How would you like me to address you today?
Dakota.
Dakota, thanks. Dakota, we're going to go over the best interest factors. These are factors that the agency is asking the court to consider and the court has to consider regarding the direction where this case goes, okay? Do you agree that your child needs permanency in your child's life?
Yes.
Is you have a source of income, correct?
Yes. Sorry.
And during this last 30 days, can you tell us what that source of income was and how much?
So, because I originally, it was just $900, almost $1,000. Sorry, I don't know the exact amount off the top of my head, but it's roughly $1,000 every month, maybe $20 to $40 less, maybe. But with that money, I normally pay off the rent and everything else, electricity, everything. That is normally, I'm the first one that gets hit for my check. Then Honey is usually the backup check. That means anything.
Honey refers to mother.
Jackie.
Fine, thanks.
Yes.
Okay, so we know.
I explicitly made sure this was the point so that I could hit all the big things out for me. Meaning, so I'm the one taking the brunt of the force while she's getting all the extra back pay.
Sounds so you guys commingle, you combine your funds, is that correct?
We normally have, if we are having maybe 100 to 200, determining on if the bills are paid like really well. That's when the bills are under like $50. That's when we have that. And that's what I stated originally, as long as I had my Medicare, I'd have that constantly every single month. We've been buying toys recently for the baby. We bought it literally a new King Kong toy literally this week on Monday. They went out, they went shopping on to Walmart and went through that entire thing.
That's so she can bring that to the visitations?
Yep, case in point, I deemed that the little hammer toy that was part of it might be a choking hazard. I went, that's not coming with you. She went, understandable, I was already not gonna do that. She has double checked and made sure even the toy has chokeable parts.
Well, I'm gonna get back to that, but we're on the money
Sorry.
issue right now, okay?
Yep.
And can you tell us about how much did mom bring in the last 30 days?
She's actually been getting her whole check with her mom after the altercation that had happened before.
Which is about how much?
It's almost 1,600 last time I checked.
You guys bring about $2,000 a month, about 25,000 a year, is that right?
Yep, yeah, roughly around that.
And that's enough to take care of all of your bills?
And we still have almost 200 extra normally.
Would that be enough if your child were returned to you to take care of her child, do you think?
Yeah, we just gotta cut down on DoorDash orders, that's all.
Understandable, okay. How long have you lived where you're living right now?
It's been half a year, I believe, for right now. I have tried everything related to anger management related.
Well, we'll get to that. So you've not been, you haven't received an eviction notice, correct?
No, but for some reason.
And is your lease for month to month, or is it for a year or 2 years?
It's for a year, at least.
Okay, great. So when is that up? Do you happen to know?
I do not know off the top of my head. I would have already had that prepared if I had that.
Now, the court also does have to look at the bond that your child has with you. I know it's been over years since you've had a visit, correct?
I've only seen him twice, and that was within, like, when he was literally a baby, and I wished to have seen him person to person, gave a second option, like, hey, can my honey join in these? Or say, deem someone that you are going to designate the person I'm supposed to be handing off the baby to if I have these issues related. Those didn't get heard in any of the family team meetings that I have said since the past year.
Let me ask you this, in your mind, do you think your child has a bond with you?
No, I do not, because to repeat, I have only been seeing videos between them. And I have mentioned that Zoom actually causes me issues. I have issues even doing Zoom related to my counseling, and I've been doing that to offset my aggression majority of the time. Sorry.
No problem. Do you need any water? Would that help you?
Can I get the tissue box? That's all I care about.
Do you report?
Sure.
And the bailiff will get you a glass of water if you need one, okay?
Not that I got.
No.
Thank you.
Can we get rid of your gun, please?
Oh, yes, I
I'm
can.
just gonna ask the same thing, so thank you.
Apologies.
Thank you.
There you go.
It says here that you don't have ability to parent your child. Tell me how old your child is now.
He is almost a year in, almost 4 months, maybe 2 months, a year and 2 months, I would say, correct, like roughly that.
You have brought to my attention that you've been taking some parenting classes on your own, correct?
Yes, I have explicitly.
And where did you happen to find these parenting classes?
I literally looked up for toddler baby 1 year old tips and tricks, basically. That's all I put into there. And the first one that popped up was a pediatrician named Emma Hubbard. She's a pediatrician specifically that I watched. She had over 1.4 million views, so I thought that was good to watch.
Have you talked to a counselor or anybody to see what their opinion is of her?
I haven't had the chance to. I literally just got I just got into counseling literally 3 weeks ago. Literally the right counselor. It's CMH, but the people that work there go through the same building as family medical. So I can just say I'm going to family medical, get my rides free for getting my counseling free to guarantee so I don't have to carry for all this bus tokens and stuff that I haven't really been getting from Ava. I've asked since last week and still haven't truthfully received them.
Well, let's keep you focused because we're going to get into the counseling, okay?
Yeah.
Now, how long are these videos that you've been watching?
So each one is 7 minutes long, but those 7 minutes are packed full of information.
You have sent me
paragraph of stuff.
You have sent me an email this week of how many you watched? About how many have you watched?
For me and Honey specifically sit down every night, especially on the nights where we're missing baby the most. We sit down and watch 3 of these videos every night, trying to. We've only sent about 18 of them though.
Good. Can you tell us some of the skills you have learned within this last 30 days from listening to this video that you didn't know or that reinforced something for you?
Dakota likes to use a lot of hand gestures. I learned that some fussy natures can come from hand gestures. If you're going to go and talk to your child, do not go and use hand gestures. Try and keep it like almost a stone statue kind of deal. Calm, low voice, those kind of things. Demonstrate that you're not mad at them if they've done something wrong, but understand, like, explain the action of going over and saying, hey, this may hurt you. If you're going to keep doing that, I may either have to move you or we're going to figure out a different solution. Can I put like pillows below you first? Can we find a separate solution? Something that is safer, but still allows the action so that he can still respond to it rather than just stopping the action outright. Dakota has the problem, which I had explained in these family team meetings before. He goes overboard, which means he thinks there's already a pre-existing problem. That's when he panics. When he panics, he's lost.
When you say Dakota, you're referring to yourself, right?
Me, because that's the normal thought process.
We're just keeping a record, so.
Yep. Split personality allows me to be safer when I mention myself in third person. So
Okay, no problem.
better explaining too.
You're doing perfectly fine.
It also allows me to also talk for my baby. So if I'm going to be doing it, it's going to be Daddy Dakota. That's the term that I will be using around my child, not what his real name or anything related to that. It's going to be, hey, can you listen to Daddy Dakota for a second? We got something we got to mention.
Can you tell us some other skills that you've learned from these videos?
Eating tricks. There was a tip and tricks about throwing food. Sometimes if they are throwing your food, it means that they are either too full or do not like the food at all. Dakota knows that feeling because he had to deal with the issues of throwing food as a younger child all the way up to the ages of 7. He didn't know the difference between throwing food and not. So he understood some of those things. Case is the point why he was normally trying to figure out the throwing food issue, because that's going to irritate me. It's going to make a giant mess. Something that would be.
So you learned to deal with throwing food. What's another issue you've learned to deal with from these videos?
Sometimes it was, did I already say tantrums? Tantrums are the major ones that I looked up because I have issues with someone else being overly outbursting and showing their emotion. So Dakota doesn't know how to control that outburst. That's what I was going to explain later on down the road. Case in point, normally whenever he is dealing with a kid, anything else, he will treat him almost like, sorry to say this, but a dog. But a dog in my eyes means they are honestly protected. Anyone who gets near it that is in harmful nature will automatically see me between you. That's the difference. It has happened multiple times, and that is one of the reasons why I had my visits taken away, because Dakota's actions were actually in the action of protecting his child, not aggression. And I have been trying to deem whether it's okay or not for aggression.
Okay. Is there, and you don't need to give specific examples, but are there some other areas that you learned from these videos? I know you want me to ask you these.
Safe zones.
What's that? What's your
Do you know what a
understanding?
play safe zone is? It's creating an area or a zone that could be designated as their play area. It's the one that you can keep either a little bit messy, just with all their toys and stuff. So I was going to designate, because his room has one big door on the other side that can close him off. All I got to do is put a little doorknob thing on it, and it stops him from opening that door. And then I just put a little gate in front of it, which guarantees that he has his entire room open to play and do whatever, and I can watch it with a single headphone out while I play video games while I'm just sitting there. He can't see the TV if I angle it correctly, so he doesn't get hit by any of the issues of video games.
Okay, now, your the grandmother of the child, she's back out west, she on the Pacific coast. She's not living with you now, correct?
The only reason she.
No, I'm just asking, is that true?
Yeah, she's supposed to be going back after this court, supposed to.
Sure. When she's not there, would you say things are typically calmer?
Very calm, almost day and night cycle difference. That's what I have explained beforehand. But it doesn't mean that she's not allowed over at my house. I accept her because she is family. That's the
Good.
case in point.
Okay.
It's just we butt heads, like I stated. And in one of these cases, it was one of these reasons.
Do you know of any relatives that would like to have this, I'm not gonna use the child's name, but would like to have the child? Because that's a question, would be, are there any relatives out there?
If I had to, I could probably talk to my, what's it called? My Aunt Brandy. She's up with my mother. She has at least 6 other kids. She was looking at wanting a baby too. Brandy's one of the ones that I have mentioned in the past. That is one of the ones that is helping my mom right now. But I don't know how that will do because mom's not too up there kind of deal. She has seizures worse than I do. So.
Okay.
And almost all those times worse.
Gotcha. Okay. Just scrolling back to the beginning of this petition, you're giving it from here.
Mhm.
Your lease, I think you've testified, is not terminated, is that correct?
It is not, no, we have not, but the landlord said that they have changed the people that we are renting to. So meaning just,
You mean new ownership?
yeah, new ownership. So somebody's bought the property, basically. We just found that out literally 2 days ago. That's the only reason it hasn't been notified for CPS. Like,
In their petition, one of the allegations is that you're not maintaining regular, frequent contact with the department. Would you say that's true or not?
That's not true because every time that Jackie is notifying, that's what I had mentioned in my team meetings. I don't have a normal phone. My phone number, I honestly don't know and remember. So in that case in point, I only use it as a Wi-Fi phone. I don't get calls on it. I can't receive it unless I have it in my hands right then and there. Don't get notified, don't get nothing. That's why she is the one that notified everyone in the department of my allegations and stuff, because I was sitting there asking, can you word it this way, please?
So are you telling us then that you contact through her to the department?
Yes, and I have mentioned in past meetings and family team meetings that I would be doing it this way because I do not have a working phone normally. And I would probably be keeping that way so that it helps a little bit. Certain other actions and bills.
You are seeing somebody from community mental health now, correct?
Yes.
When did this begin?
This was literally a month ago when after I got out of the hospital and had my fight, I said, no, I desperately just had a fight. I need someone else. I just kicked out my mom. I need everything for this to be fixed. What do? I now have medical insurance. What do I do? Luckily, they had already contacted me back and it was the lady that I was talking to was the coordinator for it. So the person that had picked up was the CMH.
So do you have a worker?
Yeah, I have
Who is that worker?
The first one, the coordinator, I believe is named Jess, and the other one I forgot off of the top.
So have you seen a psychiatrist about medications?
We are trying to get an autism test.
Okay.
An autism test and a testosterone test, specifically because if that's one of the reasons, we now know why I have these minor acute outbursts. And I could explain those for why they are extremely.
Okay. Okay. Is that scheduled, these tests?
We are trying to get a doctor scheduled. I'm seeing Dr. Chu on the 6th of October to get some of these tests double checked and counted.
I'm not familiar with Dr. Chu. Is that with CMH?
That is from Family Medical. It's
Family
literally right across the hall from my counseling.
Gotcha.
That's why I have spent all this time determining whether or not you can go to CMH, get your actual bus fare paid for or not. So I went to Adrian Counseling to see if I could get my bus fare paid for or not, and figured out the only place that does it is Family Medical. I've been doing all this. That's why I told you it would take so long, because I have to go to different counseling groups to actually fix myself. not just one. What I said before. Sorry, on
These
stage.
videos you've been watching, number 28 is about parenting education. Are these specifically parenting education videos?
Literally parenting educations. If you had a toddler that was up to the age of 1 year old, these are supposed to be appealing it from the ages of 0 to 1 year old for fussiness. They have an entire explanation that I could read off right now in my hands. That's why I've taken my tablet up to the stands for everyone to notify.
Not quite sure, what's that reference to taking the tablet up there?
To notify that I have my tablet up here, because I didn't notify that I brought it up here. Case in
Oh.
point. Yeah, that's why. Case in point. And so if I need to read it off, I can.
Well, but you don't have to, because remember I said, I would
Yeah.
ask you if you need to refresh your memory. And
I don't need to.
right now, you seem to remember, you seem to have covered it. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, there's at least 3 of the ones that I've sent so far.
Time, as you and I have discussed, is another important factor on this case, correct?
Yes, very much so.
Do you believe you're at the point where you would be able to have in-person visits?
Actually, yeah, as long as I had someone else there that I trusted. Honestly, I haven't been feeling very trustful with Ava because every time that I've come up here, I've kind of been told it's been good and then been told, let's just wait for court. At least that's what I remember from the conversation that I wrote down.
Do you know Ava knows what you've told us about your testing you're going to receive and your?
Yes, I have told her about the autism testing. Yes, I have told her about the other thing, testosterone testing. That was last court. It said, I don't really care, truthfully. I believe those were the words that were answered, but I don't want to explicitly mention things that are out of context.
What are your long-term plans with remaining with mother? Is that what your goal is, to plan together?
Yep, as long as Patty isn't too, literally, I will probably have to have her at most once every 2 to 3 months at most if she wants to come up and
Who is
visit.
Patty?
Patty Lomas is Jackie,
Okay.
the
Lomas,
mother's
actually.
mother-in-law, the one that I have the majority of problems to mitigate arguments and issues so that she has her time and so that Honey can have her de-stressor moments too. That's what I have relegated and designated for a good space out period normally.
Do you say there's tranquility in the home between you and mother right now? Is there peacefulness?
For right now, yeah, since we're trying to keep it as safe and possible. We've been actually having conversations since she has returned back from after leaving the months in advance. We talked it over the phone, tried our best. It's normally how I do everything. Normally talk it out first. Even if we've had a big argument, I will bring it back up if it is going to be a continuous subject. Rather deal with it than have it constantly fester, because that's a worse thing that I have to deal with later on. Truthfully.
How much time do you think it would realistically take you to have this child living back in the house with both of you, in the home with both of you?
If I actually was able to see my child face to face, get the textile, determine if I can hug, I can do not. I need someone literally going over and go, hey, I don't deem that's an okay response. I would need you to explain a little bit more, not just go, don't do that. Because if you do that to me, my first response will be panic. It will not be what? I've had repetitively mentioned this to my neighbors. I've asked them repetitively to stop doing certain actions politely. I even had to call on the cops on the neighbors repetitively, not just for the other stuff, but for other things too.
Have you considered exploring someplace else to live where you won't have bothersome neighbors?
Yeah, that's literally as soon as, if I'm being told that I have to move, literally my next plans will be to save up all money to move. every dime. We won't be doing DoorDash orders. It will be literally saving as much as possible. We normally have at least, if we're saving correctly, 500. If not saving correctly, 200.
Is there any other subjects regarding, you've had an opportunity to read the petition for termination that's been filed for a while, correct?
I tried to yesterday with my counselor. I read halfway through it, but we were having issues, but the majority of it, yes.
Okay. Is there anything else that you want to tell the court about what's in this petition, why you think you've improved or things are just not true?
A lot of things I could say.
Well, this is your opportunity.
Truthfully, whenever I've actually tried to be polite, I would say, the kind Dakota comes out, and the one that I'm trying to show to everyone so I can actually see if that's the one that I should be showing to my child.
Sure.
Case in point, I get either shot down, I get either waited till I fully explode and I've explained the thing, don't usually get an I don't know. Those are the normal responses I normally get. And whenever I'm told that I don't know and not given any direction, where do you think I'm going to go? Down the drain. If I'm not able to see my child, the reason why I had so much issues with the the last parenting people was because they explicitly wanted me to have certain guidelines set. That means literally I could not be late for a single time. I have issues with even getting the bus there. So I had to schedule an hour ahead of the time. I would be sitting there and they kept telling me, stop showing up an hour early. But that's the only way that I can arrive there early. That's one of the reasons why I stated that if I'm not going to be there an hour early, I can't make it there. I have stated it to them and I kind of got we were waiting there for an hour for you. Truthfully, Dan only got there for 20 minutes.
Well, we're kind of covering just
Yeah.
when we were in court last time, okay?
Yeah,
And
that's
I'm sorry,
what I
it was
was
my
about.
fault. I didn't have you focus on that time frame, okay?
Apologies.
So I know you've called me several times. We've had some lengthy chats between the last court date and today. Is there anything in that time frame? Let me focus it that you wish to address that you haven't addressed.
Not that I know of right now.
Okay, some other attorneys are going to have you questions. If I think necessary, I may ask you some more, okay? Thank you.
Ms. Thomas.
Thank you. Mr. Harmon Duckworth, there's just a couple of questions I had for clarification, okay? You, in your testimony with Mr. McFarland, stated you've tried everything related to anger management. Can you tell us what classes or what therapy you've done for anger management?
I originally stated past in this court case that I have taken over at least 14 years of my life going through these anger management classes. Normally, I was even doing on TikTok, watching complex psychology courses. The action where psychologists learn about the difference between what you're feeling and how you would be feeling. A lot of those I was breaking down for. I figured out that I might have complex trauma response. That's why I have the aggression response normally. And that's what I was trying to do so that I could better organize and better identify my problems for my counselor or therapist so that we're not spending more time in this court, truthfully.
Okay. And then you mentioned that you have issues with Zoom, so it would be triggering for parenting
Even
time. It
watching
also is
you
not.
now- Sorry, even watching you now, looking at the little screen, I'm having issues even determining the blue and the black that you're wearing and the background noise issues. If I have headphones on, I'm going to be acute to other noises in the room. I have issues with auditory sensations. Why I had mentioned an autistic test, because if I am autistic, it means I have auditory sensations issues, which is higher than a normal person, which means I need to go figure out something to work with that, which is what I have been mentioning in the past. Okay, sorry. Do you have anything else? Can you ask your question again so everyone can hear it? Apologies, I interrupted.
I'm going to move on now. When you mentioned the pediatrician online with 1.4 million views, was that on TikTok?
No, this is actually on YouTube. Emma Hubbard. You can look her up. It is the exact name and thing called Emma Hubbard on YouTube.
Okay.
She is a
And
pediatrician, sorry. Says it in her bio. Apologies. Continue.
when is the last time you smoked marijuana or consumed THC?
Every day, technically, it's to help mitigate my hunger and to help me actually eat. Even now,
So
I'm
when
on
did
it.
you last consume? Yep. When did you last consume THC today?
It was 9:44. I went out, took my break. And then the second time was at 11:20. That was after I had cleaned my house today. And that literally took me 2 hours. And the stuff that was mentioned that may seem like my house is messy was cleaned up after I had my coordinator come over the day before.
How much THC did you consume today?
It was 2 puffs, and it's from a Maha medical vape pen. It's 2-gram cartridges. Those normally last me, if I am explicitly going to mention those, 1 cartridge a week normally will satisfy me as long as I'm not having an anxiety episode. If I'm having those, I take hydroxyzine, which is the medication that has been prescribed by the other counseling group. Dr. Bob.
And did you discuss with the doctor who's prescribing the hydroxyzine, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, about any interactions THC might have with it?
Yep, it said it would produce higher, sensitivity issues. That's why I normally have my headphones in for these cases and points. But I explicitly took them out this time for that reason, so that I could hear you better, rather than having you be muted.
And then you mentioned something about an aunt and your mom. And you mentioned that you had to kick your mom out. Can you help us understand if your mom?
No, it wasn't my mom, okay? My mom normally has issues with medical stuff, so she either has seizures, full body like I do, but hers, she loses her memory almost becoming a toddler. That's actually what I grew up taking care of my mom majority of my life. Since the age of 4, I had to learn how to actually get water. I had to learn how to go get a ice pack. I had to learn how to do those things. That's the reason why. And it wasn't my mom, it was Patty, Jackie's mother-in-law. I had to kick out because I had literally just come home from the hospital. You know that pancreatitis thing? I had chosen to do a antibiotic over taking the surgery because I didn't want to spend 20 days in pain instead of, taking a little pill and wait there for a day, assume that I can get out by the time. I was up and walking around, almost running around my room by the time court was here for the last time. Does that help?
Sure. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Mr. Noe, any questions?
Briefly, Mr. Harmon Duckworth, since July, you've been doing these online classes. When did you start doing these online classes?
It was literally when the last time I was being told. So not last court, the court before that.
All right.
That was the last 2 months. We have been basically starting to do these because I deemed that these were going to be a lot easier than the other ones.
Okay.
That's why I brought in notes.
Okay. But you would agree Jackie has been doing her CPC classes?
Yep.
Okay. And as far as you know, she's still meeting with the parent aide, is that correct?
Yeah, that I know of.
Okay. Has Jackie been going to the supervised parenting times as far as you know?
She goes every single time.
Okay.
She gives me a video every single time she comes home.
And you seen those videos?
Yes, I have. I've seen them mention dad. I've seen them mention mom. I've seen them mention other things related to it, especially ball. He really likes his colorful balls.
Does he seem to interact well with Jackie?
Yes, very much so. But he does get distracted by keychains and other jingling noises I've noticed. That might be a curatorial issue. I don't know. But that's been every single time. Honey will be like, say dad, and then he'll be focused on his topic because you were trying to take him away. He normally has that issue. That's one of the things that I wanted to mention that I have put in my notes. Yeah, sorry.
Now, you're still working getting your own mental health services stabilized, correct?
Yes, I have been going to. I'm actually going to be seeing them tomorrow, actually, after what we determined for this court. It will be read by my counselor too, so case in point.
And you'd also agree that Jackie, meanwhile, continues to see her therapist at ACPC every week, right?
Yep,
Kim, I think is her name.
yep, Kim.
Okay.
I try and give them their space whenever they're at the house, but I do butt in minorly at times just to explain some things. But the majority of the time, I let them do their things.
Jackie's benefited from her relationship with Kim, don't you agree?
I would agree, honestly, from past experiences. Yeah, she was having minor shutdown symptoms like full on, I can't talk and those kind of things. She's gotten a little bit better with those.
This altercation you had with your neighbor, that was on August 29th, correct?
It was probably a little, I don't remember, but yeah, I
Fair
believe so.
enough. If I said that's what it was,
Yeah, I am assuming it was, yeah.
all right, fair enough, fair enough. Jackie wasn't involved in that altercation at all, correct?
No, I explicitly closed the door to make sure no one else was involved with it.
Okay.
The only reason they came out was after I had yelled 911.
Okay.
And I explicitly made sure to be loud enough that everyone could hear my words, rather than me lying. Why I don't beat myself in the wrong, sorry.
Fair enough. And you would say that, you know, despite your own challenges, which you've been very upfront with, and I appreciate that today, would you say you've seen Jackie consistent with her parenting time, her parenting classes, her parenting education?
She wakes up at 6 o'clock, gets ready by 8 o'clock, and then is already have eaten her breakfast and everything waiting for the door normally.
You know that Jackie's been showing up and doing what she's been asked to do by the department, correct?
Every time she comes home, she gives me a report of, yeah, normally they just tell me I'm doing fine.
Okay.
And then we come to these, that's why we got so angry last court, because to repeat, a lot of the stuff was, yeah, being told that we're not doing what we needed to, but we've been trying to do everything that we needed to. That's why we asked for ABA accommodations, because I'm literally now forcefully getting other people to check my house rather than having the CPS caseworkers do it, because I don't feel comfortable with them anymore.
Okay, all right. Have you seen them try to mislead you or Jackie at all?
Very much. Almost every single meeting. I literally couldn't, I've been told to shut up when all the important information I could have said was 11. I had to literally scream out 11 during one of our meetings just to even be heard. And after I had explained it, I still got told, what? I thought I said it loud enough for everyone to hear me. And then Kim had to interrupt everyone to even get me to be heard, and then have to re-say my words because no one was listening. That was our last family team meeting. After that, we haven't had one since then, mine or hers. It's been over 2 months, might I add.
No further
Sorry.
questions. Thank you, sir.
Okay, Ms. Underwood?
Dakota, you mentioned that you declined Zoom video parenting time with your child, correct?
I can barely see the screen normally, even with the big screen behind what we're looking at right now. You're kind of right now.
But I mean, your parenting time could be with a phone or a device, right, during a virtual visit?
What are you at? Can you elaborate that? I have even issues just because he's hearing my voice doesn't mean that he's not. There's a difference. At that point, I would rather you just have Honey in there and then I hand her off to Honey and I go take a step outside, reorganize myself, and then double check what we need to do. If I feel like I'm being too overwhelmed, I can go talk to my counselor the next time and then bring this up to you guys the next point, which is what I had explained in the last couple
Sir,
of
I'm gonna stop you right
points.
there. Sir, I just asked that you're confirming that you've declined Zoom parenting time, correct?
Yes, because I have eyesight problems that have already been mentioned beforehand. In past story and events, and it causes emotional distress. I have to state it again, that's a problem.
But yet you're okay with watching videos that Jackie provides you of the child?
Do you know why we're doing that? I'm not actually taking the notes. Honey's sitting in the background and me and her going, that looks really good. This looks really good. Hey, look, doesn't that sound like something we can use for the child? That sounds really good to use. And then Honey will go over and write it down. We are literally copying it word for word from the video almost so that we can use it as a reference point as this case in point, so that I don't have to go back and feel like I'm being an aggressor or feel like I'm overstepping my bounds, I'm not doing the right thing for my child.
Mr. Harmon Duckworth, I'm referring to the videos that your significant other takes of the child during her parenting time. You're
Yes.
okay with watching those videos?
That's because I'm sat there, I'm literally almost.
Sir, it's a yes or no
2 feet.
question. You're okay with watching those videos?
The majority of the times, yes, and I'm still raging over them by the time because I haven't been able to see my child. I'm going to explain this as politely as I can. Every video, I normally have to take a 15-minute break because I haven't seen him so much. It enrages me even more. If you really want me to be honest with you, that is the case. I have stated this to my counselor. I have stated this to my coordinator. I have stated this even on stand now. How many times do I have to state it, even in your family team meetings too?
Okay, but you don't have issues with your eyesight when you're watching the videos that you watch on
I
YouTube or
literally have
TikTok?
to put this on dark mode just to even be able to see it. Half the time, I can barely even notice some of the things. It's normally 2 feet from my face. Sometimes I will even stop Honey and just sit there and listen to the video. I'm not even watching the video because honestly, all she's doing is showing big old bright pictures that sometimes look blurry. I can make out minor details, but it's hard.
All right,
I'm not
thank you,
gonna
sir.
want to do that with my child.
Okay, you indicated that your idea of parenting, I'm just going to paraphrase, you would put your child in a safe zone and you would continue to watch video games with one earphone out. Is that your idea of parenting a child?
If we are spending at least more than like a week together, we're gonna have quiet time where I'm gonna be playing games. Well, if let's say Honey's gonna go take a, what's it called? Going to an appointment by herself, right? I have to watch the child, right? You guys are on that point of trying to deem that I'm so dangerous that I can't even watch my child by myself. But I stated that as long as I had a goal or plan set in mind normally, and I can feel it out normally, sometimes I'll even knock on wood just to hear certain objects because of sensory disorientations. That's what it called an accommodation would normally be. But the accommodation that I had asked for originally was Honey. It's very simple, co-parenting, which is another thing that was stated by Emma Hubbard in the pediatrician that I have been following. Which is better than gentle parenting, might I add, which is also stated in that. That's one of the things Honey wanted to mention. I know that was because she talked about it to me.
I have no further questions. Thank you, Judge.
Any redirect, Mr. McFarland?
I do not, Your Honor. I
Any
have no
other-
further witnesses.
Thank you. Any other questions for this witness, Ms. Thomas or Mr. Noe?
No, Your Honor.
None.
Thank you for your testimony. We return to your seats.
Thank
Ms. Underwood, is there anyone you wanted us to hear from today?
No, Your Honor, any witness I would have called has already been, has already testified. Thank you.
Very good. Let's go to closing argument, beginning with Ms. Towns.
Thank you, Your Honor. One, thank you and to fellow counsel for the time they've invested in this family. It's been a lot to thoroughly review the record, to listen to testimony and to arguments. And as the record reflects, it's a pretty emotional case for the parents. And it is pretty hard because we have two parents who seemingly try their best to overcome their respective barriers, and to be a safe parent for their child, especially for Ms. Lomas. And despite the department's best efforts to assist the parents and the parents' best efforts to work on those conditions that cause the child to come into care, they simply are not able to adequately care for this child at this time. For Mr. Harmon Duckworth, he spent the last year showing us who he is, and I appreciate his honesty and frankness that he's demonstrated on the record. He really has needed throughout the past year additional mental health support. And when he's been offered assistance, he hasn't followed through. That's despite reminders and opportunities to discuss his case and his services with the worker on a regular basis, and assistance in trying to get his Medicaid back on. And so it's really concerning that even today he's referring to needing accommodations, but has also failed to recognize that his own mental health issues have created limitations for himself in how to interact with other people in a safe way. And as a consequence, he has not been able to benefit from recommended services. I think one of the main concerns we've seen in the last year or so has been his struggle to communicate appropriately, especially with others. It's reiterated in the psychological evaluation with Dr. Parks. I think we've all seen it when he's testified on the record. We've been part of family team meetings where we've seen him speaking over Ms. Lomas, not being able to be redirected, and how difficult it must be for the caseworkers to really engage with him. And I think we also see that behavior translates to his home life. Throughout the case, we've heard how there's a lot of issues when Ms. Lomas's mother is present, and that the home environment becomes pretty tense, that Mr. Harmon Duckworth is unable to adequately or appropriately sit with big emotions. And understandably, if he has an anxiety disorder, we're very aware of that. And, there's been a lot of hearings and indications that he needs to be in mental health treatment. And even in the psychological, which was over a year ago, there were also concerns about his marijuana use and any contraindications with his medication that would assist him in managing his anxiety a little better. When we first started this case, one of the things that stood out were the number of 911 calls that were made to the home, either that the parents made or that the neighbors made, and how, for lack of a better term, antisocial Mr. Harmon Duckworth is within his community. We've seen that kind of increase again over the last couple of review periods, in these altercations with neighbors over recycling bins, or him yelling in which it's disruptive to his neighbors. And again, that was one of the reasons that this couple was asked to leave their last housing. So I just don't see any benefit from any services or any change in the circumstances that would allow anyone involved in this case to believe that he could safely and appropriately parent a 1-year-old or a young toddler. It's also very concerning that we've heard so much testimony about how all that he has done for his anger management, being in anger management therapy for 14 years and watching these YouTube or TikTok videos, and still not really having control over that and how to interact appropriately with other people, and how his inappropriate behavior during parenting time came from a place of protection, not really understanding what that might do for a very young child, or how that type of behavior may have psychological harm or emotional harm to that child in that type of environment. And it's also peculiar. I think that's what Ms. Underwood was sort of hinting at too, that Mr. Harmon Duckworth has declined to do virtual parenting time to establish any bond with his child because of visual or auditorial sensitivities. And yet we've heard ample testimony that, and even in our parenting time reports, that there's a lot of screen time for these parents and how they gather information and how they learn. And so it's just really interesting that we're seeing that disconnect here as it relates to establishing a relationship with this child. And so, Your Honor, I think as it relates to Mr. Harmon Duckworth, there's clear and convincing evidence that the conditions that cause a child to come into care have not been rectified, that the reasons for adjudication still exist. The case service plan was not followed despite reasonable accommodations for any disability, which for Mr. Harmon Duckworth has been his mental health. There have been ample opportunities where he's been provided space to vent, that he's been provided redirection in an attempt to have his own family team meetings. So that way he felt that he could have the opportunity to speak and not just for Ms. Lomas, but also for himself. And those accommodations just have not benefited him in any way, despite the department really trying their best to assist him. And as it relates to Ms. Lomas, I know that the main concern is whether the department has complied with ADA requirements and our case law indicating that her case service plan and the services provided to her need to be tailored to her disabilities or her limitations. And, I think that's a really hard position for everyone to be in, because we all see that there's no doubt how much she loves her child and wholeheartedly loves this child. And she has definitely given it her best to try to provide for him. But until this termination petition was filed, Ms. Lomas did not indicate to the department or to this court or to anyone else that she needed any alternative or additional accommodations. And that was despite having adequate counsel prior to Mr. Noe taking over and working with the same service providers for the duration of the case. The department recognizes, again, its responsibility to tailor services for her and to meet her needs. But as Ms. Copas has repeatedly said, any time that Ms. Lomas has been checked in on to ensure her understanding, to ensure that she had exactly what she needed and what worked best for her, she would deny that she had any intellectual impairments at all, or deny any confusion, and state that she understood what was expected of her. And we've even seen this at the last court hearing, where when asked about her disabilities, she noted ADHD, anxiety, and epilepsy. She did not indicate that she struggled with processing information or having any intellectual limitations, which is also concerning that she fails to recognize that despite being on SSDI for several years for that specific diagnoses. And because the department was aware of that, Ms. Lomas was provided one-on-one services, and that's been through Care Pregnancy Center and ensuring that they're providing her with information that is tailored to meet her learning style, whether that's one-on-one video watching or having that one-on-one meeting with her. Also with LNL Parenting Aid Services, this is someone who has been there to assist in developing a schedule, ensuring that there's written appointments down, and there's discrepancy between what Ms. Lomas has requested, whether she wants her therapist wants her to have an electronic calendar or a written calendar, and what Ms. Lomas thinks that she needs and what is best for her. The department has put in place someone, specifically Ms. Edwards, to assist in the day-to-day management of her life and to ensure that she was able to develop a relationship with her child and to determine whether she could parent individually. And despite those one-on-one accommodations and repeating instructions and having consistency, Ms. Lomas has not demonstrated an ability to keep up with her child's growth and development. The parenting time logs that we received in this memo were still indicating that mom struggles with diaper changings, that the child has bumped his head, that she has a limited understanding of cause and effect by, saying that it's not an issue for the child to walk around or move with a toy in his mouth, not fully understanding that it's also a choking hazard, not just that he can cut his mouth if he falls. For his birthday, bringing toys that are for 3 on up, and not understanding again that those small little toys are choking hazards. It was, nice to hear Mr. Harmon Duckworth indicate that they're becoming more aware of that. But these are all things that we would expect a parent to fully understand or recognize as they're transitioning through their case service plan and becoming ready to be independent in parenting. And for Ms. Lomas, we just have not been able to get there. One of the main things that has stood out in this case that Ms. Lomas has brought up recently, and I think might be also reflected in Ms. Kopas's reports, is how she defers to other people to speak for her. But then when inquired about independently, there's a different answer. So in her request for accommodations by her attorney, she asked for instructions to be repeated or written, and those were done. Instructions with L&L services, those were repeated numerous times. Her case service plan was an outline of what was expected of her. Written materials were provided to her through Orchards in a very low reading level manner. She had mom had asked for organizational tools, and then when pressed on it, she indicated that she uses her own tools, that she uses her email or her phone or her calendar on her own, that she wanted reduced distractions despite the fact that she was receiving one-on-one services. She wanted feedback, and she was getting feedback. And then, we are being told by Mr. Harmon Duckworth that it's never positive, or that there's an issue with that. So there are several things that have been requested that were already in place. And just as recently as August 14th, the Court of Appeals issued an unpublished opinion. And so while it's not binding, it does give us some guidance and can be persuasive that reasonable accommodations for a parent with a cognitive disability were satisfied when the department's aware of a respondent's cognitive disability and takes steps to accommodate it. In that case, the record established that DHS regularly reminded the respondent of appointments and parenting times, marked the relevant events on calendars, and provided all explanations in plain language, ensuring the respondent was able to understand. And the Court of Appeals recognized that it also has held that similar practices reasonably accommodate a parent with cognitive disabilities. It cites to Henry Terry, which is 240 Mishap 14 at page 27, a 2000 case. And that recent case was issued, that recent decision was issued on August 14th of 2025, which was in Re E.D. Salas, Court of Appeals number 374132. The lower court case is coming out of Macomb County. And so, Your Honor, I think that we have a really similar case here where we're making these clear accommodations. They're not being recognized as such or being ignored as such. And we're not given any guidance on what else could be done. Anything that has been requested has already been fulfilled. There's no reasonable amount of time in which the department can change anything that's been done or offer any additional services. And based simply on the parents' lack of abilities at this point in time, I believe that the statutory grounds pled in the petition have been met by clear and convincing evidence, and that it would be appropriate based on that to terminate the parents' parental rights under although not pled CI, that there's been more than 182 days since the initial case service plan has been issued, the parents are respondents, and that they failed to benefit from their case service plan, But most prominently, the one that is pled, because of the date that this was filed and the 6 months had not told at that point in time, is subsection J from MCL 712A.19B3, that based on the conduct or capacity of the child's parents, there'd be a reasonable likelihood that the child would be harmed if returned to the home of the parent. I think that's the most appropriate and most obvious that we've been able to see at this point in time. And as it relates to the child's best interests, this court obviously can look at the record as a whole and to make a determination as to whether preponderance of the evidence supports that it is in this child's best interest for his parents' parental rights to be terminated. I think the record speaks for itself on that point, as well as the petition in indicating those best interests. And I would rely on that for sake of time at this point. Thank you.
Okay, closing arguments, Mr. McFarland.
Well, this was an unpublished decision that's cited. And the attorney, unpublished decision, and Ms. Thomas asked what else could have been done. Well, we did hear testimony that there's not an ADA compliance officer. I didn't hear any specific testimony of specific ADA training by the workers, Your Honor. I can't believe that nobody at the state level with Child Protective Services could not be inquired as to what is suitable for ADA compliance. So I would counter that there is something that could be done that wasn't done. I believe mother testified last time that the parties now have a cat. My client reminded me that this calms him very much. Matter of fact, I was just watching something on the internet where a prison gave inmates a bunch of cats and it calmed them down. And so this is also what Dakota finds calms them down.
Anxiety too.
Thank you. Okay, covered. And anxiety also, thanks. And are there other ways that he could have visited without Zoom, without the internet? I think if some creativity, we could have perhaps discovered that, but I had personally, as his attorney, have not had difficulty talking to him. He's not lashed out to me. And court remembers earlier, very beginning of this case, where my client was very irrational and somewhat aggressive on the stand, and we haven't seen that here today. He's emotional, and of course, any parent
On marijuana too.
but any parent gives anything about their kid or their child would be emotional. That's what I would expect. Somebody who is cold and not sensitive, I would have an issue with. He appears to take it up on his own. I didn't lead him on this path. I suggested that he find a path, and he did that. He's found a path where he's able to watch on video and brief vlogs, 7 to 8 minutes in duration. He testified, and he's also been able to reiterate what he's learned, which appears to be age appropriate for this child, Your Honor. Taking a look at the best interest factors, the stability, not about to be evicted. You have money that surplus every month. They don't DoorDash and cook, they have more. They're getting by. No, I don't see any direct testimony that they would not be able to support the child return to them.
Moods have been mute too, I'm gonna be honest with you.
Thank you. And I think Dakota is passionate. He does have difficulties which he's overcoming, but he is overcoming those. We've heard a testimony that he's now seeing future acting with CMH, which is significant for him. You know, there's been some testimony about some confrontation with a neighbor, but until it works its way through the court system, we don't really know what happened. We just have hearsay upon hearsay. Witnesses weren't questioned. The officer wasn't questioned. So when you have people living in apartments, a lot of people be upset with loud noise, loud music. My client does talk loud, as we heard here today. So it doesn't necessarily mean that there's a confrontation going on, but that he is loud. Excited. So there's a lot of plausible reasons for that. Things have calmed down now since the maternal grandmother is no longer actively on a daily basis in the house. My client respects her. As in many situations, sometimes you need distance from in-laws. And it seems to be a calming effect for everybody, it appears. We have her support. We have the mother's support. I think these couple act as a team. In a reasonable time, can things get better? I think they're already going towards that right now. My client understands his limitations. He understands how to work around these limitations that he's been served with in life, fairly or unfairly. For that it's a family history of this also. Now, oftentimes the guide that I think we use is what maybe our next door neighbor or somebody else, but we take a look at the foster care ads on billboards. You don't have to be a perfect parent. We're talking about a real parent here, not a foster parent, and they're not perfect, but are they enough? I think that's a question for today. Thank you.
Your Honor, this proceeding is about whether the department has met its extraordinary burden to prove by clear and convincing evidence that these parties are unfit to parent their son, and asking that the court terminate their parental rights, and that's in their son's best interest. The legislature put this extraordinarily high burden on the department, the highest burden, in fact, of civil law, because this literally is the death penalty for family law. It's permanent, irreversible, and it's devastating to families. The department simply has not met that burden. From the very beginning of this case, my client has done exactly to the letter of the law, to a T, which she's been asked to do. She's completed her CPC parenting program, including the toddler pack. She's consistently worked with a parent aide. She's engaged in therapy with Kimberly Olmstead and remained compliant with treatment and medication. She's attended every visit with her son. The visits that my client has with her son, these aren't just check-ins, these aren't just visits. They're loving, nurturing times where my client plays with, cares for, changes baby's diaper. The department's own report, literally their own report, showed that the child is bonded with my client, and that she continues to meet developmental milestones. My client has shown commitment and love and focus at every single step the department has asked her to do. I think the department, rightfully so, tries to front the issue of the accommodation. The department insisted has, and I quote, accommodated Jackie, but they describe it as generic services, bus tokens, transportation. I've read about, but that's sort of accommodation for my client. Verbal reminders, some straightforward reading packets. These are not ADA compliant accommodations. These are things that are provided to several parents and many parents, and certainly not tailored to my client's cognitive needs. There certainly is no written ADA accommodation plan in this case. There's never been a structured set of modifications in the plan to help my client learn and succeed. And instead of supporting her, what we've seen is disruptive actions, like these last minute park visit calls during her therapy, they don't help. That's not meaningful accommodation. I think it's interesting. I think the Terry opinion, certainly it is just persuasive. It's unpublished, if I remember correctly. But I think it brings a really good point here. Is it's a case I've had from this. I've had an issue. I've had this case since day one. I kind of got to dance around it, but I finally get to say it finally, disclosing. The department is alleging that my client has cognitive abilities. I don't think any single person on this case would disagree with that. My client, they're alleging she has some sort of cognitive issues or disabilities. Yet they're asking my client, the person who they're alleging has these limitations, to dictate what her own accommodations are going to be for the same cognitive disability. They want to have their cake and eat it too. It's the burden is on the agency, not my client. I think an appropriate reading of the Terry case will show that what the department here is trying to do is a burden shifting that completely forbids exactly what the department is trying to do and how they're trying to terminate my parental rights because my client's parental rights because they failed to properly accommodate her. So obviously that comes into the department seems to have a lot of concerns regarding Mr. Harmon Duckworth, his issues that they have with him. My client is not him. The department and the court is responsible to look at both these parents separately. When my client's with her son, the reports are clear. She shows up, she participates, she loves and cares for this child. The department's attempt to paint her with this broad stroke brush is unfair and unsupported by the evidence the court has heard throughout this case. Again, looking at this, Judge, even if the court were to find the statutory grounds, the department must still prove the termination is in the minor child's best interest. The record doesn't support that, obviously. The record shows that there's a bond, strong bond between my client and her son, with consistent visitation, family support through her mother. There's zero history of abuse or neglect. Only a parent who's doing exactly what she's been told for months now to work on improve herself and be the best mother that she can be. At the very least, the best interest of the young man require giving his mother a continued opportunity with meaningful accommodations through an ADA coordinator that the department can be ordered to provide with meaningful accommodations. To cut off that relationship with his mother forever without exhausting less drastic alternatives. All she's getting right now is supervised parenting time. That would not serve the child's best interest and would forever deny him the ability to know that his mother's care and his mother's love. Coming to that, the child knows his mother. He responds to her. He's safe and cared for in her presence. There's just no reason. I mean, she has shown that she is a responsible, caring, and loving mother. Termination is not about perfection. I'll borrow from Mr. McFarland very briefly. No parent is perfect. This case is about if a parent has the ability to care for a minor child. My client has been placed under a microscope of the department, of the agency. She's been denied real accommodations and then blamed for not thriving under conditions that were set up for her to fail from day one. To terminate her rights under those circumstances is not just. It'd be punishment for according to the department, my client having a disability and relying on her support when the law requires that support be honored and not weaponized against her, as we've seen in this. in conclusion, Judge, my client has done the work. She's shown she has love for this child. She's complied with services. She's asked for help when she needed it. What she has not received is a fair chance with proper accommodations that are due to her under state and federal law. For these reasons, Judge, we are asking the court to deny the petition to terminate my client's parental rights, to recognize the department has in fact not met its extremely high burden on this case, and to give my client the opportunity and the chance that she deserves. We are asking the department, in addition to denying the relief they've requested, order that the department do a study to comply with ADA accommodations and to issue a revised case service plan and services that comply with state and federal accommodations law, especially regarding the ADA. In this matter, federal and state law must be followed. And without following that, the department has not met its burden. It's also not demonstrated it's in the best interest of the minor child to terminate the parental rights. So we'd be asking the court to deny the request and also grant our relief request as well. Thank you.
Ms. Underwood?
Thank you, Your Honor. I will try to keep this short as I know we are running out of time here today. I will start with Mr. Harmon Duckworth. From the onset of this case, Mr. Harmon Duckworth has done nothing but display both to caseworkers and before this court, erratic, unstable, and unsafe behavior. He seems like a loose cannon, and at any time, there are several concerns with his behavior and his ability to parent. In fact, he's testified himself that he would need somebody in the room with him if he were to have face-to-face parenting time in case he needs to hand the baby off and cool down. That we're a year into this case, and he has chosen to not start with video visits and prove that, again, he can be appropriate in those and then transition into further visits. He's done very little to address his mental health. He's attempted to self-medicate and self-diagnose himself on TikTok instead of relying on his psych evals and his help from therapists and the professionals that are qualified to provide him assistance. I believe that the department has overwhelmingly provided clear and convincing evidence that supports termination for Mr. Harmon Duckworth for all the reasons that Ms. Thomas stated, as well as, again, all the testimony that's been provided. I also want to note that I did just do a brief search on my court, which is public record, and Mr. Harmon Duckworth is in warrant status for disturbing the peace arising out of that 8/29/25 incident. So again, his behavior continues to be a problem. He is not safe to be around his child. I'm also concerned for Ms. Lomas and their continued relationship. From the very beginning, the department has been clear, as well as other providers have been very concerned with the power dynamic that exists between Mr. Harmon Duckworth and Ms. Lomas. She's a vulnerable person. She does have cognitive impairments that make her more susceptible to the power dynamic in a relationship, and paired with a person who is mentally unstable, that is a very serious concern, especially if you put a child into the mix. Ms. Lomas has denied that she has any cognitive impairments despite there being proof providing otherwise. But at this point, it's very difficult for anybody to provide any additional accommodations other than what has been specifically tailored to Ms. Lomas if nobody can provide the department with additional things that could be done. Everything that has been asked of the department has been done. Ms. Lomas does not have a legal guardian to speak for her. That's not something that's been done by her family, and she's had competent counsel throughout this entire case to work with the department to assist with accommodations. But again, I feel like this word accommodations being thrown around. Again, I understand there are ADA requirements, and again, I believe as the LGAL that those things have been done. Again, it's not a generic accommodations that have been done for Ms. Lomas. And again, those have been clearly placed on the record. I'm not gonna harp on those. It's very difficult with Miss Lomas because again, we all understand that she loves her child and she has done her best. However, we're over a year into this case and Ms. Copus and Ms. Edwards still don't believe that we can even get past supervised parenting time because Ms. Lomas just does not have the ability to take care of her child without serious oversight. And again, I'm not saying that that's Ms. Lomas's fault. That's just the reality that we're in. And it's unfortunate, but we also don't have a competent and safe person that Ms. Lomas lives with or could help take care of this child. If he were returned to their home today, he would be in an incredibly unsafe situation. And I think we would be right back here in this court. Again, I think these are two very different situations. We have Mr. Harmon Duckworth, who is completely just done nothing or done very little to help himself. And Ms. Lomas, who has tried very hard, despite her challenges and diagnoses, to be the best parent that she can be. However, she's just not there. And it would be incredibly unsafe and detrimental to this child if he were returned to either of their care, and especially both of their care while they remain together. They plan together, they plan to be together, and they've continued to be together throughout this time. So, Your Honor, I would ask this court to grant the department's request to terminate parental rights. Despite it being very unfortunate, especially for Ms. Lomas. I know she loves her child, but I believe it's in the child's best interest. He deserves permanency, stability, and consistency, and he does have that in the current placement. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Thomas, you're technically allowed one last opportunity if you'd like it.
Thank you, and I appreciate the opportunity to have rebuttal. I just briefly want to highlight the case law and the burden issue that Mr. Noe has pointed out. By no means has the department attempted to shift any burden here. This court has continued to order the case service plan as proposed and agreed to by Ms. Lomas, which this court actually had reviewed with her on the record at our last hearing. And at no point in time has this court indicated that the department needs to do anything other than what it's been doing. And I think that it's recognized by the individuals involved and this court that we're not offering simply standard and generic accommodations here and to let everyone know our court requires us to provide active efforts. In a lot of counties, a referral and a case service plan is all that parents get. I'm proud of our community and the county that we work in and the services that we are able to offer. By no means am I saying that we're perfect, but it is very offensive to be told that we're offering generic services when in fact we're not. And as someone who regularly is working on appeals, I just want to be clear on the case law here. It is in Ray Hicks Brown that we actually get a lot of our guidance regarding ADA requirements. And again, in that dicta, we also are instructed that it is on the parent to articulate what alternative service could be offered and how the parent would benefit from that particular service. In Ray Hicks Brown, the respondent's doctor had indicated what specific service, I want to say it was like RSO or something, that should have been utilized in order for that parent to be able to benefit from services. The lower court in that case had ordered that the department provide that specific service, and the department did not do so. And despite not doing so, the lower court in that case continued through with a termination of parental rights. Those are not the facts in this case. And again, in Ray Hicks Brown and the unpublished case that I cited to you earlier, both reference in Ray Terry, which is a published and binding case. So it is not that the department has to prove that it's made, that it's not just on the department to prove that it's made these reasonable accommodations tailored to each parent's needs and diagnoses, but it's also on the parents to indicate what specific service can be offered and how that parent would specifically benefit better. We do not have that here. We had a therapist who got on the stand and told us all the things that we could have done without ever even being familiar with all the things that were being done. And we've had accommodation requests from Mr. Noe about what could be provided to his client. And when she was pressed on the record, she actually didn't agree with all of them. And in fact, they were still being provided by the department. It seems that Mr. Noe is the one who wants his cake and eat it too. Whether he's saying we're giving too many accommodations or not enough, it's very confusing. But the record is very, very clear that Ms. Lomas and Mr. Harmon Duckworth have received specifically tailored services to meet their needs. And I believe that this court is very aware of what those are. This court would also have ordered the department to offer alternatives had we not been doing that this entire time. And with that, I will rest. Thank you.
Thank you. As it relates to the review and permanency planning hearing scheduled for today, the court finds that all interested parties were given notice for that purpose, that the reasonable efforts towards the goal of adoption and reunification have been appropriately spearheaded by Ms. Kopus, that all of our attorneys, including our guardian ad litem, is certainly in satisfaction of her obligations to the file and to the child. The child is in a foster placement. That is the safest and least restrictive under the circumstances. Testimony today, as well as the exhibits, have confirmed that Ms. Lomas has not made progress in order to be able to parent this child, even unsupervised. In fact, she declined an opportunity to even take parenting time outside of the context in which she's been exercising it with Ms. Linda Edwards. She continues to have to be prompted to change diapers and struggles with math and timing as far as when the child should be eating and how much the child should be eating, which is just a few examples of how she's unable to understand the needs of her child or meet those needs. I also have concerns similar to those Ms. Underwood has expressed about the dynamics in the household. Ms. Lomas's inability to understand how that could be harmful to herself or her child, especially how it could be harmful to the child, the dynamics of domestic violence, the significant arguing, the frequent interactions with police that's been documented over the course of the case itself, are all very significant concerns for this child in this household. And of course, takes us to Mr. Harmon, who I think is doing his level best to try to take advantage of some services, but seems to have accepted that he has significant anger issues that can't be altered, and is consistent in his testimony that he relies on others to try to avoid triggering him. And he seems to do his best to avoid triggers, but they seem to be everywhere. That being said, he often finds himself extremely frustrated, flustered, taking measures to step away, or actions that are considered very aggressive, verbally or physically. So he's not safe for this child to be around. They are both living together and planning together, and it's not a safe environment for this child to be in at this time. Court will issue the review hearing today, documenting its findings. The goal will be adoption for this child, given the length of time he's been in foster care since August 20th, 2024. So we'll look to the department to focus on those efforts moving forward in the next review period. And as it relates to the request for termination of parental rights, I'm taking that under advisement, and I will issue an opinion to that effect before our next review hearing. The next review hearing will be scheduled for December. Well, yes, we'll have to be.
Can I put something on the record?
I have two options for the parties. I have Monday, December 15th at 3 o'clock. I also have Tuesday, September 16th at 9 a.m.
What was the first option? I'm sorry.
Monday, December.
I would prefer
15th.
December 16th.
Okay, Ms. Underwood votes December 16th at 9.
No preference.
I'm okay with 16.
16th at 9 a.m. will be our next review permanency planning hearing. And you should have the opinion on the termination petition by then, but if not, that'll be articulated on record at that time. Unless there's any questions, that's all for today.
16th at what
Thank you,
time?
Honor.
9 a.m.
Thank you.